Hello, everybody. This is the DammitJim Show. I'm DammitJim, and I'm here with my good friend and side host, side host.
You fucking blew that, dude. You're gonna have to work on your intro if you're gonna do that.
Yeah, we're gonna.
You didn't even get live deep in the avenues. You missed out on a whole big portion of that.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the DammitJim Show from deep in the avenues. This is DammitJim with my host and sidekick, Sideshow Todd.
Hi, everybody.
Hello, everybody. So, Todd, tell us, what do we have on store for today?
Well, we have a jam-packed agenda, Jim. So we've got the things that are on your mind, which we've got Dems and the sucking at politics. We're going to get into Dems and their current challenges, the Democratic Party. We're going to get into the fired diplomats in Russia. We'll discuss that, and then also continue, which obviously that's a bigger portion of the Russian scandal. We'll talk about that as well. And, of course, we'll hit on what's on everyone's mind this weekend. We'll hit on Charlottesville.
All right.
But before we get to all that heavy shit, we're going to bring in our darknet specialist. We touched on this a few weeks ago, and now we got a brother on the show who is very experienced in the darknet and will give us the full rundown. We'll have a nice little powwow about that. So, what was it? What are you doing? Oh, okay, here we go. And I love it. Now, listen, we're using a special name for him because it's the dark net. Get it? Okay. So, JT, what is JT what?
Lexington. JT Lexington.
JT Lexington. There he is, folks. JT Lexington.
JT, are you with us?
So, JT.
What are you doing in the background there? I heard all kinds of noise.
Sorry,
you
no, that's
bag of crackers over there, or what?
I'm done. Yeah.
I hope they were delicious.
Cheetos. No. I'm kidding.
Because before you go into the dark net, well, I mean, Cheetos.
Yes, there's some dark net snacks.
Actually, it's a good thing. You know that Cheetos is the
black
most
market Cheetos. What are
black
those
market
sprinkled with?
Cheetos would be even better. But you know that Cheetos are like the most nutritionally vacant food available to the American people.
I believe that.
And the reason that it's so popular is because the chemical they use affects the brain the same way that cocaine does.
Of course.
If you wonder why you can't finish a bag of Cheetos, it's because they know what they're doing. All right, JT Lexington.
Yo.
Today we're talking about the darknet. So why don't you give us a brief overview of exactly what the darknet is and why we should care?
And why you should care, sure, and feel free to interrupt me if I ramble. You do know that I like to ramble once in a while. The the darknet is basically that special place on the internet. People maybe hear of it, they hear about it on the news, they're reading CNN, whatever. But there's this whole sort of, think of it as like an underground, I was going to say an underground economy, but there's really lots of stuff that happens.
Well, it is an underground economy. There is definitely a lot of business black market transactions that occur on there. That's one of the main things, right?
I would say that is the main stuff that goes on the darknet is transactional. There is other stuff, just informational, if you will, but it's mainly transactions, and it takes a little bit of work to get on there, but it's basically a whole internet that you would never find. Like if your average Joe hops on Google and searches for, how do I buy drugs? They're not going to find a website that's like, oh, here you go, buy drugs.
Like Silk Roads. That was the original one, right?
Silk Road really was the original one. Yeah. And they got taken down, and there's been a few others since then. It kind of mellowed out for a while, and everything was cruising along well. And then just recently, like literally the last 2 months, there's been the next biggest market got taken down, the next biggest market got taken down. So now everybody's very much on their toes. Like, oh, like shit, like what's next? Like,
how did they find it though? Because they used it like the Tor network. Why don't you tell everybody about what the Tor network is, and how they would, why you do that to mask your IPA to get to the darknet?
Sure. Yeah. You basically kind of said. There's special browser. And all the web URLs for the darknet end in, so how like a normal website, if you will, ends in like .com.
Right.
All the Tor network and underground stuff ends in .onion, and think of an onion.
That's awesome.
Layers,
I
and
love,
So,
I love net nerds. That's great.
So let me ask you. So is there a special browser that you want to use for the darknet, or can you use Google and just use the .onion? What's the term for that? The
website,
URL.
Yeah.
So how would you actually access? If you wanted to find it, you wouldn't use Google, right? You're saying you get a different browser, and is there a different search engine, or how does that work?
Exactly. So Sideshow Todd kind of touched on it. It's there's the Tor network, and there's also a browser, and I believe it's called. Let me look at it here. I've got Tor browser. It's called. And you can literally just go. What you can do is you can go Google Tor browser. find the Tor project. It's like an open source type of deal.
Right.
Again, more computer nerds. Download the browser, and once you're using that browser, basically what it does is, it bounces you around to a bunch of different IPs, so you can't.
So nobody knows where you're coming
can't
from.
Be traced. Yeah,
right.
Exactly. And then from there, you kind of have to start digging around and doing some searching. But yeah, you can find yourself like to these markets or informational sites and go from there. So it's really, in theory, it's not that hard to get on there, but you kind of have to have the curiosity to take those few steps to do that stuff. So,
well, I used the Tor network not to get to the darknet back in the day, but I was using it just to mask my IP because because I didn't like the whole idea of everything being marketed to me every time I touched something on the internet, right?
Yep.
And then but when I went to Mac, I stopped doing it. But when I was on Windows, I did it as I always had the Tor network. I used the Tor network because I didn't trust the Internet Explorer, right? Because the security is such a piece of shit. And then, just generally didn't like being bombarded every time I touched a website.
And I mean, what Tor stands for is the Onion. I think, I should know. I was just about to say, I think it's the Onion router, the Onion routing. Like, it's basically, again, alludes to that Onion kind of analogy of, it bounces you around. There's several layers. So.
Right.
So then I have to ask, and I'm going to be the outsider here saying, okay, so if anybody can get this browser and anybody can browse the darknet, how do they know that it's secure? Because obviously it's very simple to find this. So how is that secure? What's the protection that the average doesn't know what they're doing consumer who wants to go to the dark net? How do they know that they're not being watched? Or what's the confidence level that I should have if I wanted to go on the dark net and do something?
Probably pretty low. I mean, as in it's really not. I mean, as much as it bounces you around and so you in theory can't be traced. You can. I mean, I've read a lot about different busts happening because someone will just open the Tor browser on their home computer and then go buy like a bunch of cocaine and then get busted because it can be traced. So, but if they're on there just looking at stuff and they don't really do anything, then it's not like the cops care. They've got bigger fish to fry.
Right.
The people that are really serious about it take other layers of security. So they, the big two things are like remote desktop, like you VPN into like other servers around the world.
Right.
So then in theory, you're on a different computer using the Tor network, which adds that level. Or you just buy like proxy server type stuff and like connect your computer. Like it's kind of a similar thing, but not quite. But
right.
But you add other layers of security on top of the Tor network, and that's what the real pros, if you will, who are serious about it, do to protect their identity, basically, or what they're doing.
Yeah. So because it just spins you around. It doesn't make your line any more secure. You still need to be careful what you visit and what you download. They don't know they don't know your IP address. Because so many things happen because of your IP address is essentially your driver's license on the internet.
Right.
Right.
Well, that's how they find you back.
Exactly.
So if you do anything,
it's your driver ID number.
Ask any questions, or if you research like how to bake a pipe bomb.
Yep.
You could have the FBI.
They'll chase your ass by your IP address. Right.
So if you don't have that, I'm not saying that people should research that, but if the point,
you said pipe bomb,
I did say pipe bomb. Well, because I have.
You could have said like transmissions or something, but you went right to the bombs.
Well, I wanted to use an example that would actually get the authorities' attention.
And great!
Good. Yeah,
and pipe bombs would be one that I think would hopefully raise a flag. And like if you were googling,
apparently
pipe bombs,
JT's a smart guy using a pseudonym name.
Well, I don't think JT is googling. Oh, man, I'm just trying to.
JT is not googling pipe bombs.
Yeah, we know that.
None of us are. God bless.
Nor am I dark webbing pipe bombs.
God bless America.
One other just for your information. I mean, it really is a rabbit hole. It's very interesting to me, the stuff. Like I'm not saying like I do a lot of business on there. It's just, out of curiosity's sake, it's this whole like subculture underworld that you would never know about. Like Smith down the street doesn't know about. If you want to take those extra steps, a lot of people will, like if they're actually doing like transactional type stuff, they'll, for one, they're not going to do it from their house. Even if they're doing all the remote desktop and all that shit, they'll go somewhere like free Wi-Fi at Starbucks. Like that's better than sitting on your home.
Right.
And the other thing too they do is, and I might be guilty of this, I'm sure you heard of the term like a burner phone, like drug dealers get like basically a prepaid phone. people use burner computers. Like they have a laptop that's dedicated to like underworld shit. They do nothing related to their normal life on that computer. Like there was absolutely, and if like worst came to worst, they could like break that computer in half, throw it in a dumpster, like just get rid of it, and it's like gone. So, you know, people take it pretty serious. I mean, there is big business happening on the underworld. And, like so.
Right. So let's talk to me about this too. What I mean, obviously, there's big transactions going on in this world, and I actually have another question I'm going to hold off a little bit to ask. But what about like Bitcoin? And I understand there's another new currency that's being used. What is the value of this? How does the average person wrap their head around what this thing is? Is that like buying gold? Is it a completely different thing, or what exactly is Bitcoin, and how do you describe it to a layperson? What is Bitcoin?
Sure.
How does it work?
So, I mean, it is a currency. It's not issued by like a country, like it's not a US dollar, but like a currency, you can compare it. It's tradable for US dollars. So like right now, just so you know, the price of Bitcoin's been like skyrocketing, but it's very volatile. So like if we had talked a week or two ago, like one Bitcoin, like literally just one Bitcoin was worth about $2,500 US. So, but then it plummeted to like $1,800, but now it's up to $4,000. Like literally today, Bitcoin's over $4,000. So to buy one Bitcoin costs $4,000.
Wow.
You can obviously buy very fractional amounts of this. Like most transactions aren't happening at that level on the dark web. But the way it's layperson, geez, I might not be the best for the layperson. Basically, it is like a digital currency. There's nothing physical. It is.
So is it like credit card points, or I'm looking for an analogy that makes sense to me because I don't understand.
It's a Bitcoin, Jim. Okay,
it's a Bitcoin, but like I can't take it to like the local currency and go, "Hey, I got 4,000 Bitcoins."
Well, you know what? I think it is kind of like gold. So it is kind of like that.
Is it kind of like gold?
Except there's no. It's obviously it's not hard. You know, there's not.
It's not a physical.
It's not physical, but its price varies on the market versus the dollar. Just like gold does.
So what's the advantage to having this, imaginary monetary source? What's the point of it?
Well, I mean, the biggest point of it is there's a few things. One, it's just take a quick step back. The way you kind of hold your Bitcoin is you sign up for Bitcoin Wallet. There's different companies that offer that. So you have like this virtual wallet that holds it. It'd be like a virtual bank account somewhat. Mm-hmm. So I have my Bitcoin wallet. The benefit in it is when you do a transaction with somebody. So say I was going to pay you for whatever your pipe bomb making manual that you're making. I would send you my Bitcoin. You would receive it. The network confirms it. So like I can't like fake it. Like there's no way to kind of spoof it or make like fake you out basically. So you would get my Bitcoin. It gets confirmed, and it's like irrevocable. Like I can't pull it back. Like so I would send you Bitcoin, you get Bitcoin, you send me your manual. The benefit there is something like a PayPal. Like I hear a lot of scams are there. Like someone will send someone a PayPal payment, they give them the goods, and then the person just disputes the PayPal transaction, gets their money back as well. So Bitcoin is not like it's gone. Like once you send it, it's there. The other big benefit is it's not traced. Like in theory, it's kind of like that dark net, like the Tor browser. Like in theory, it's not traceable. If they really want to, like an authority, they can trace the transactions. Like when I look at my Bitcoin wallet, like list of transactions, it doesn't say, "Oh, you sent 0.1 Bitcoins to DammitJim." It just has a big long, I want to say it's 20 to 30 character like transaction ID, and that's it. Like there's nothing identifying you or me. The cops could, or the authority, whatever legal authority could trace it. But because criminals are genius, there's other companies that popped up that are called Bitcoin tumblers or mixers. So you kind of use them as an intermediary. They take your Bitcoins, mix them in with everybody else's Bitcoins, and then forward on Bitcoins to you. But really, they're forwarding on someone else's Bitcoins to you. So you still get the Bitcoins. It's just now it's all mixed together like a big like washing machine. So to kind of break that
laundered money, if you will.
Yeah.
So then let's say
like
laundering money.
Yeah.
Yes.
So let's say you send me, we'll call it 10 Bitcoins.
Oh wow, jeez. What am I buying? All right.
Well, I mean, as an experiment, feel free.
Or no, that'd be 40 grand. Okay, yeah. I'll get right on it.
So how I got these 10 Bitcoins, and I'm like, you know what? I want to go spend like a month in Tahiti. I'm going to cash in my Bitcoins. How do I get that Bitcoin into actual, tangible cash that I can use in not the dark net world.
Sure. So, one other kind of thing is like Bitcoin in itself is nothing. There's nothing illegal about Bitcoin. It's a legitimate currency.
Right.
People use it for what you can. Like I've been to stores. There's not a lot, but they will take Bitcoin. I think you'll see more of it in the next 10 years. Anyways, so your online wallet, with that, like a PayPal, if you want to keep with that analogy, you could link it to your bank account. So you could literally go on your Bitcoin wallet, say, oh, I want to withdraw my 10 Bitcoins to US cash and transfer it to my bank. And you would, 2 or 3 days later, it would be in your bank account. The other way you can do it, and these also aren't super, you don't see them a lot. And actually, I'll tell you a story in 2 seconds.
But hold on, just to illustrate a point, though, that's because somebody has already funded those Bitcoins. Right, and you're getting the fund at what the going rate for the Bitcoin is that day. So there is just like gold, right? So somebody may have paid $3,000 for that one Bitcoin, but we could say they went up, but you're getting another 1,000. You're getting like $4,000 for that Bitcoin because at that day the price for the Bitcoin's $4,000.
It's almost like you're selling stock.
It's kind of like that. Yeah, but it's a variable market. So somebody funded it,
right?
And that funding is what backs the Bitcoin.
So even though the Bitcoin is associated with darknet, it's actually legitimate currency that you can exchange through legal means.
It's it's like a PayPal. It's like an advanced PayPal account, except there's no variability in you're only riding on the dollar, right? There's not there's a Bitcoin market where the dollar market's the currency market, right?
Right.
Kind of cool.
It's kind of interesting, very interesting. I mean, people wouldn't know about this because it's not something you'd see on CNBC or anything else. At least not much.
There's actual Bitcoin ATMs, and there's a few around Phoenix. So say I just want the cash, I want it today. I can go to the Bitcoin ATM, punch up some stuff. You scan a QR code. If people are familiar with that, it's like a barcode, basically.
Yeah.
You're basically sending your Bitcoin to that ATM, and then the ATM spits out cash. The funny thing about these ATMs is there's only a handful in Phoenix. Let's say there's maybe 10. And they typically, if you want to guess, Sideshow Todd might have seen some of these. They're usually in vape shops and places like that.
No shit, huh? Nice.
And so actually, just the other day, I think it was just earlier this week, it was one of those things. I wanted cash. I didn't want to wait 3 or 4 days for it to transfer my bank. So I just went to the Bitcoin ATM. It was in a vape shop. I don't vape. I don't have a problem with it, but it's not my scene. But I went in this vape shop and got to hang out with the vape people. So I asked the guy, do a lot of people use this ATM? He's like, yeah, there's seriously 4 or 5 people a day that come in and use this thing. And he's like, and they're usually pretty sketchy looking, but that's none of my business. I'm like,
right?
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah.
That's fascinating.
Wow.
So
that's what the cops are doing. They're just staking out the Bitcoin ATMs,
right? I don't think it'd be a bad move because I think.
Well, then it's a good way if you think about it. So say you made money illegally on the dark net. You don't want to transfer your bank account.
No way.
Say it's $10,000. You just go to the Bitcoin ATM and pull out your cash and
put it away somewhere.
Right.
Yeah. So it's. There's also. Sorry not to ramble. I told you I like to ramble. There are actual sites too where you can buy and sell Bitcoins with other people directly. There's actual physical, a site is called localbitcoins.com. You can find people on there who will buy your Bitcoin and physically give you cash, and you just meet them at the, the QT parking lot. It's out there. There's ways to convert it. So yeah.
So what's the market that what is that what causes the Bitcoin to rise and fall in value? Is it the trend, people using it? I would think that's probably it. The volume of use.
It really is. Yeah. It very much operates supply and demand type of thing.
Right.
It is. It definitely does. Like I said, that it's a bit of a wild ride, and there are people out there who just invest in Bitcoins.
I could see that. It makes sense.
Yeah. So.
They had that big. What was that? That malware that went out in Europe where everybody had to pay into the Bitcoin account, right? To those hackers, and they only ended up getting $250,000 or some shit like that. But anyway, I thought it raised the visibility of the Bitcoin, right?
Yeah.
Which I think only could have helped its popularity, right? Only could have helped its value. I'm just assuming that it's been more in the news lately. Those kind of attacks, and then the hackers setting up that kind of scam where they'll unlock your computer if you give them X amount of Bitcoin, money in Bitcoin, right?
And what I thought was funny about that, I mean, obviously it worked out for them or didn't, whatever, but like I could see a lot of people getting that message, like, "Oh, you have to give us Bitcoin," and they would just be like, "What the hell is Bitcoin?"
Yeah,
like they wouldn't even know where to start. Like,
exactly.
What?
Okay, open up your PayPal account. What's a PayPal account?
Yeah, well, that's why my question came out. I was like, because I always associated Bitcoin with the dark net, like
right.
Yeah, and I think
what is the currency of the dark net? It is.
I guess it is. And I'm kind of like, there's two things out there that are really interesting to me. One of them is the deep state, which is basically the claimed political,
right,
masters of our universe, and the other one's the dark net, because the dark net is the resemblance of basically the black market, right? That it is the modern day version of the black market.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Which raises the larger question that I thought about today, since I knew I was going to have you on, Mr. Lexington, was the difference between like legality and morality, right? So we live in a free country, right? In theory, but yet the government controls so much what we're not allowed to do, which basically creates the black market. So we can't buy opioids now because so many people are like just pounding them and killing themselves. The government
because they're being prescribed, recklessly. That's if you had just had to physically go buy them, it's a different story. You know what I mean? If it was just available for you to buy, versus somebody to recklessly just prescribing them as medicine. That's a lot of people are getting hooked. It's not like they went to Walmart to buy the drug. They got hurt, right? Overprescribed, and then they become an addict.
Right, but the thing about it, it's such an addictive. The opioids are so addictive that it's almost like the doctors would know automatically. They said, if I give you 2 months worth of this stuff, you'll be hooked. Anybody would be.
Yeah, exactly.
I went through it personally. When I shattered my wrist, they gave me all kinds of Oxy, and I had to actually go back to my doctor and go, okay, I don't want any more Oxy. Why? Because it's too good. And I see where this is going. I'm like, what do we do? It's like, well, I'll drop you down to Vicodin. I mean, but I had serious pain, so I was like sort of like fighting both of these things. But I immediately knew that, wow, this stuff is, I can see why people get addicted.
Right.
It's very obvious.
That's why they take you out the morphine right away. Morphine's awesome.
It is awesome. but here's what I meant about the dark net was like, but we're still relying on the government, basically the rules, to tell us what we can and can't do. And then people want to do things that are outside the rules, like they said, I want more opium. I want to take Oxy every day.
The bureaucracy is getting out of hand.
And they say, no, you can't do that. I'm like, well, I thought we were a free country. Well, we're kind of free.
You know what they're going to do next?
Mostly free.
The FDA's next thing with smoking they're going to do?
What's that?
They're going to start regulating the percentage of nicotine in e-cigarettes.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Thanks for solving that problem, jackasses.
Because we need that.
I mean, because
that's the next thing,
Yeah. Like, really? Like,
right.
why are you spending my tax dollars on something that is completely not a health issue?
Right. I mean, nicotine itself is not a problem. It's the carcinogens in cigarettes.
Yes.
They're still doing the scientific research. But let's get back to the dark net where we have our, Mr. Lexington online.
Well, you started the morality shit.
Well, no, but it was a question for him about, the dark net is, to me, interesting. It's like, depending on how you view it. Part of it is like, listen, if you won't let me do this legally, but I'm supposed to be in a free country, then I'm going to go find a way to do whatever it is I want to do.
Well, that illustrates the point. We will find whatever it is.
We will find a way.
We will find a way. So it's pointless, really, and it's just a waste of money in a boondoggle, like the whole war on drugs.
So would we be better off? Chris, oops.
Wow, you suck at this.
I suck at this.
JT.
I also have the ability to edit. Mr. Lexington.
Too late. Might as well just give his address and his phone number, too.
I have it right here, actually. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to speak to Mr. Lexington directly, get shit.
Go on.
I was going somewhere with this, but then it got funny, and I forgot what I was going to say. I was going to ask you, so do you feel that it's okay to engage in the dark net and look, because it shouldn't be legal in the first place? Or does that not even enter your lexicon of why you are familiar with it at all? Or what do you think its places in society is, I guess? Isn't it?
Right. Definitely. I mean, I could go both ways, and I can't, say, oh, yeah, it's, morally wrong, but then be on there and do whatever. So, I will say the majority, at least of the markets that I see, and I look at the big markets, so it's where a lot of people are. Most of it is drugs. I would say 90% of these transactions are drug related. Other stuff is,
of course,
forgeries, counterfeit, stuff like that. But
documents.
So then it's
good to know.
documents, fake
Since
license.
Jim's given out your name, you may need some sort of documents.
Yeah, I need a new identity. This would be the place to come to get. I'm going to look at that later.
I have the ability to edit, so.
That's comforting to me, right? That we have a place that we can go that is not regulated, that's not under the big eye, that if things go sideways and I need to get something, well, I got a way to get there. If you're half bright, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
if you're paying attention.
And that's kind of where I land on it. I think, and listen, I don't think anything should necessarily be illegal in a free society. But we know based on human behaviors that sometimes making it more difficult to achieve will basically land us at the goal that we want, right? So if you're a government and you got 330 million people, you kind of got to have some rules because otherwise it's just going to be bedlam.
Right.
And people will follow those rules because people just sort of tend to follow the rules.
Cheap. Yes.
But when you have this sort of like, listen, if you don't want to follow the rules, all right, here's the odds. You can go out there. I think having that access is actually a positive thing because legality is very rarely keeping up with the morality of the times.
Yes.
So not that I believe that
the law is often used as a thumb to keep down the poor. I mean, it's not like it's always
exactly true.
Yeah, immovable law is absolutely detriment to.
Yeah. So I think that the dark net being out there is a positive thing for our society overall, and I think the fact that people have to actually work to it kind of helps because you can't just randomly say, "Hey, I want to go do X, Y, Z." You actually have to do some work and do some research and actually
you have to be a little savvy, tech savvy-ish,
and then you let adults make the decisions they want to make. Mm-hmm. That's kind of how I see it. But.
And I mean, it is very much a free market too. Like the prices, like the one thing we didn't touch, like to buy drugs on here. And again, I'm not a drug guy, but I know enough to know. And they're a lot cheaper online. Like you talked about, whatever OxyContin and stuff. Like it's a lot cheaper on here than to go buy it at this like legitimate way.
Right.
And then they kind of people honestly like self-regulate. Like it's the dark web and it's dirty and you have to watch out and stuff. But people really self-regulate. There's forums where people say, "Oh, this vendor's like shitty. Don't deal with them. This vendor's awesome."
Right.
Like,
yes.
It's very
people do self-regulate.
Society. Yeah. So,
and I think
I'm all for it.
Yeah. When the government gets involved, a lot of times they treat the people like children and say, "Listen, one guy took too much of this, so we better make it legal for everybody."
Well, politics get involved.
Right.
Then they play the hot buttons.
Yeah.
Oh, little Jimmy died. Now everybody can't do drugs. Come on.
There was a great line from Bill Maher about pot. He goes, "Well, people say, oh, you shouldn't do drugs." He's like, "Well, I look at Dark Side of the Moon. I figure, a couple of dead kids is worth that album."
Yeah.
There you go.
His point was like, hey, if drugs took a couple of kids, but that's one of the best albums ever created by man. So, I can deal with that.
I don't think if you're not paying attention, there's too many motherfuckers on the planet. So a couple of them ODing isn't going to really make much of a difference.
I saw a great meme today. It was one planet talking to another. The planet was a doctor planet. And he goes, "I got bad news. What? You have a case of the humans."
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry, you've been infected with humans.
Yeah.
Son of a bitch.
They're dug in like wood ticks.
All right, JT Lexington. Let me throw it to you. Give you one more. Give us your wrap up and final thoughts on the dark net and what you want the world to know, or what you want us to know.
Geez, what do I want the world to know? No, it's out there. There's documentary. I mean, you can go on Netflix and look at like a documentary if you want, like kind of a surface level.
So
if they're bad,
if they're listening to your show and they say, "Hey, I want to explore the dark net," what are the first 3 steps I should take? Give us that. Give us the training wheels.
I would Google. There's actually a website that's on. So people on the dark net refer to the regular internet, if you want to call it that, as the clear net. Like it's called the clear net. Mm-hmm. There's a website called deep.web.com. Just Google it or Google darknet, info or something, and you'll find it. And there's like a ton of just sort of generic, I want to say generic, but surface level, like entry level information on there. Mm-hmm. People can learn a bit more about what's on there, what types of sites. And like I said, it's totally a rabbit hole. It's fascinating. If they have the interest, then you start doing things like, next step would be like download that Tor browser.
Right.
If you're just going to goof
you
around
got the
and
Tor
look,
network. Yeah.
Yeah. Hop on there, start looking around, look at some of the markets. They're not hard to find if you're fairly savvy. I mean, it's really not that hard to find. And just start poking around. And I mean, the biggest source, like I've spent days at one point just reading the different forums. Like it's fascinating because it's like, wow, these people really just like the extents they go to like protect their identities or to
right.
like, get drug shipped somewhere or whatever. Like it's crazy, and you just read all this stuff, and it's just like wow. So anyways, yeah. Go look at deep.web.com, download the Tor browser, hop on some of the markets, and just see what's out there, and look into Bitcoin. I mean, if somebody was to actually want to then do something, yeah, you're gonna have to at least be up to speed on what is a Bitcoin, how do I buy it, and how
funding your
like,
Bitcoin.
yeah, fund it, and yeah, what do I, just how do I move them around and whatnot. So, and from there you can enter a whole world of
darknet.
Of darknet. Well, I think that's great. I think the fact that if folks, if you want to know more about the darknet, you're gonna have to do a little bit of work because it's not going to be easy.
It's not that hard. It's not really that hard.
I don't think it's that hard, but it definitely takes some effort.
It's kind of fun. I agree. I'm gonna start doing it again. So thanks, JT.
You just signed up a whole bunch of criminals, all 26 of us.
Yes.
All right. Well, thank you very much. We hope to have you back again and discuss new topics. And if we discover anything about the darknet, we have questions back, we'll definitely have you back on for that.
JT will be back.
Yeah, he's too good.
Sweet. JT wants to be back. Terrific.
Excellent.
Well,
all right. Well,
we're going to listening.
We're going to move into some politics and some sports and some other stuff like that after a short break. Why don't you roll some music so I
think it's still rolling. He's got to turn it up.
Let me turn on some music and take a short break. I don't think it's rolling, brother.
It's playing, man.
It's not playing.
Play.
Try again.
It's on. It's played.
No, it's not playing.
It's playing.
We're terrible at this. It's going to be a silent break. Hold, please.
Turn it up. Dude, I did. It's not on mute.
See, I don't hear Jim at all anymore. Oh, maybe he's off his thing.
He just walked off. Yeah, he just walked off.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you guys. Well,
no problem, man. We're just having to do more stuff with you because that was a great conversation.
Yeah, I liked it. It's fun. It's fun to talk about. So
I'm excited about.
I'll continue.
All right, talk to you later, man.
Oh, no. All right, I'll talk to you later. I'll keep watching the show.
Cool.
All right, bye.
It says it should be playing. Let me try it. Let me rejiggy it. Get jiggy with it. What up, Bruno?
Still no music?
Hold on. Should be. There it is. I love how you blame the engineer. Hey, man, the internet.
Yeah, I know.
Fell it off. What can you say? It fell off.
All right, excellent. Well, that was a great segment by our friend
thanks for JT Lexington.
Yeah.
Fantastic discussion there.
He's actually an excellent live performer as well. If you enjoy Rock Lobster and songs of that genre, not only does he sing them well, but he also wears some disturbingly.
He brings his own props. That's nice.
Yeah,
I like that. I like man's willing to bring his props to karaoke. I dig it.
No, he's a talented and very brave young man.
I'm gonna go to that karaoke now.
You should. Friday and Saturday night.
At the bar, huh?
At the bar, yeah.
I'm gonna go next time.
Yeah, if you had a little Facebook, you could have watched them live last night.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a Rock Lobster.
That's gotta be interesting. All right, so let's get into it, dude. So your first Just Start Jim topic was the Dems suck at politics. So
the Dems do suck at politics.
Give us your lowdown on that.
Well, I mean, I think this comes from actually a Bill Maher interview I thought was a really good interview. Not always the biggest fan of Bill Maher. I think he's kind of a douchebag sometimes, but, he definitely...
He's managed to stay relevant for like 20 years.
He's managed to stay relevant.
Props.
He got kicked off the
multiple networks.
Because he can be a douchebag. But he made some really great points. And I think one of the ones he talked about is how bad Democrats are at politics because they have... they have so many opportunities to put themselves in the forefront and to win the collective minds of the American people. And I think when you look at, all the stuff that's going on, I mean, a great one was the diplomats that got fired.
Well, hold on. You want to, you're saying that they suck at politics. There's the Yeah, go ahead with the fire diplomats. Go ahead.
Well, it's just an example. It's an example of an issue that should ring true with the American people because, Russia's been our enemy for as long as pretty much.
But why'd they do that, though? I mean, we put down some additional sanctions on them.
Yeah, they did.
So we ratcheted up sanctions on them because even though our jackass president won't admit, everybody in Congress, all the spy agencies agree, right? Tampering occurred. We need to do sanctions.
Right.
So this was the ball that started rolling under Obama.
Right,
and finally, now,
this is what I mean. You have this Russia situation, which even if I know that the supporters are saying nothing's proven. Well, but here's what's happened. Before we get to the proof part, let's get to the political part, because politics is
FBI kicked down Paul Manafort's fucking door, man. That's big news.
That's coming up too. And they're not making a big enough deal about this stuff and clinging onto this stuff in a political sense.
I disagree.
Winning the hearts and minds. Here's why. Because, we just had the situation where all these diplomats were fired by the Russians.
Right.
Expected. You had, Trump coming out saying, "Oh, they just saved us a bunch of money."
Ooh, that was bad.
It was a joke. It was a joke. But you know what? Here's what I was kind of getting at. We talk a lot about our troops. We support our troops, and everybody has goes out of their way to recognize the sacrifice that these troops do to protect our freedoms and to fight for this country. And we all believe in that. But what about the diplomats? What about the people that are there in the trenches doing all the diplomacy, doing all the things that keep us out of work, keep those soldiers safe?
To that end, all the generals that came out and told him what a catastrophically bad idea it was for him to defund the State Department. Because they all agree with you.
Yeah.
Like, our best weapon is diplomacy. Like, you need to, if we can't get any footing anywhere to do anything militarily unless we have good diplomacy. It was their whole point.
You can't. If you've ever been in an altercation, you know that talking your way out of a fight is the best way to go, just in a general sense. You've just removed hundreds of diplomats, people that were literally living on enemy
critical
land.
Information.
They're basically in Russia, and you know that a lot of them were spies. We wouldn't know which ones were.
I heard something on NPR. A guy who was a section chief there. And he was a section chief for the CIA, and he's retired. And what he was saying, there's probably some, sure, but he's saying the major offices that are true spy agencies, they're not affected. Mm-hmm. These are like these people are important. I'm not trying to undersell their importance, because they are important.
Right.
But that there's still plenty of people linked in. You know what I mean? Getting the whole spy game still not. It doesn't stop the spy game.
We didn't stop the entire spy game.
Right.
But to say, hey, you know what? You did us a favor. We're saving a bunch of money on these salaries. As if these people's jobs were completely and utterly just like charity from the government.
Yes. Like they were providing some sort of essential service, which they absolutely were.
Were. And they're living on enemy territory.
Yeah.
I mean,
and in a very hostile environment at this particular moment.
They're serving their country. They are serving their country just like so many other people do.
Yeah.
And because they are diplomats, somehow they just get completely disrespected by this president. Which
in the whole Republican Party, anybody who seems to work in the bureaucracy is obviously just siphoning off money and not providing any value to the country.
Right. It's just sort of
any state employee.
It's just such a slap in the face for these people.
Yeah.
And for the fact that, hey, this is a very important, adversary, not ally, adversary that we have. And they just removed all their people. That just leads us closer to a colder war.
Yep.
Which less communication. We all know that the one way to solve problems is to talk. I mean, how many...
At least to have a seat at the table.
How many lifestyle shows are about, hey, you need to communicate with your spouse. Right. That's the key to having a good marriage.
You hear that all the time.
And yet, we're not going to apply that to diplomacy. Oh, We're doing great. You just saved me a bunch of money. Really, how much money did we save, first of all?
He doesn't know.
He doesn't know. He's clueless.
No.
Oh, it was a joke. It was a joke.
Bullshit.
Fine, whatever. I'm done with that part of it. I just say that, I was getting into the why Democrats are bad at politics.
You're saying they haven't jumped on this hard enough.
They constantly lose. Battles they should win.
The 2020 isn't here yet. I mean, you haven't lost yet. Or what? What's the or 20?
We were supposed to destroy in 2016. I shouldn't say we.
Or 2018. I'm sorry. The next midterms. That's the key. Don't be doomed yet.
I'm not doomed
until they get their. If they get their dicks handed in 2018, then you're right.
Let's talk about the politics.
Yeah.
Okay. What about the Democrats' platform for a better deal?
What do you mean a better deal?
That's their fucking platform. You remember how they had that, like the Republicans had like Contract
that was
with America?
Yeah.
The Democrats' new thing is a better deal. That's their slogan.
They need some help.
That is a soft ass slogan. Better deal.
They better be
We're gonna suck less. We're gonna suck less. Come on, man. If you want to get the power out of this guy's hands, and as long as we have this 2-party system,
yeah.
One of the problems that we have, and much as we rail on the Republicans, is the Democratic Party just sucks at this. They're just not very good at it. They're not very good at the politics.
Well, their party's undergoing also, not necessarily a schism, but a redefining of what they are. With Bernie brought that forward with the progressive. Now, there's clearly a large group of people that identify themselves as Democrats and are actually true progressives, and I think that helps. And it speaks to the millennials, I feel. And I think that group of people is widening and has a larger portion of the traditional Democratic Party, which over the last 20 years has gone greatly to the center.
Right.
Right.
Well,
so they were all very
straight to the right.
Yeah. And then the centrist portion, led by the Clintons and Obama's part of that group, in my opinion, isn't teetered that line, which was kind of what led them to the wet blanket. You don't feel anything for them because there's not any energy. It's the same. There's no real obvious difference between what they want to do and what a centrist Republican would do, right?
Well, they say if you don't stand for anything, then you stand for
yes,
anything,
right?
And this. Let me ask you this question.
So I think that group of people, right?
Yeah,
their power base starting to fall apart a little bit, and they have to start moving. They're slowly starting to come back because they need Bernie, they need Elizabeth Warren's. Those are the people that energize the Democratic Party. Those are the people that get people to the polls. Their message. Everybody sees the income equality, right?
Yeah.
Everybody knows the value of education.
And you need to talk to these people.
Yes.
And you need to hit them. I mean, we talked about this last week. It's like, it's the economy, stupid.
Yeah.
If you want health care, forget about labeling it a socialist program or Obamacare, whatever.
Right.
Why don't you just make health care not cost them so much damn money? One way or another. They probably aren't going to care as long as they get the quality of health care. Right. And it costs them less money. Yeah. That's what the American people need to know about because there's a whole bunch of other shit going on too. They don't want to worry about if they get tonsillitis, if they're going to die from it because they can't afford a $2,000 a month premium that's coming out. It's so obvious. Now, let me ask you another question, though.
Yeah.
On the whole thing, this came up, this is really kind of a hot political issue about the litmus test, whether Democrats should consider abortion like a litmus test for any candidate running. If you're not pro-women's health, pro-abortion,
right,
then you shouldn't be in the Democratic Party. Warren's come out and said that. Bernie's come out and said that. It's a really, really volatile issue. But I think it's...
Well, now, see, I think you're... go ahead, ask your question. What do you think?
My question is, how do you feel about that as a litmus test? If you don't believe in abortion, if you're pro-life, and I think you should even call it anti-abortion, because I think pro-life is really overstating their current political situation.
Right.
So if you're anti-abortion, should you be allowed to run for the Democratic Party?
So I think you're right. I think that is the politics of the tired, right? So the party line should be a woman should be allowed to do what she wants with her body. And the government shouldn't have any say, period.
I think so.
So that includes an abortion. If she, it includes a tonsillectomy. Like, I don't give a fuck if somebody gets a tonsillectomy. I don't give a fuck if somebody gets an abortion. It's none of my goddamn business. Mm-hmm. And that's exactly the government's stance on it. The government doesn't have anything to do with any of those things, period. That's the fucking party platform, right? Not are you for or against abortion. If you're like, Steve, you're playing into the politics that have failed by doing that. Right, that is not going to advance the conversation. You're just going to get people standing up, just like what happened in Charlottesville, standing in front of each other, screaming and yelling, trying to kill each other. Right? Saying, no, the platform is, woman does what she wants with her body. Now let's solve some real fucking issues. Let's work on this equality gap. Let's get cheaper. Let's get healthcare under control. Let's make sure our infrastructure doesn't fucking fall apart. Yeah. Let's fix the real problems and make sure education is accessible for everyone. Right? Now let's fix that. Who gives a fuck about abortion? I'm so tired of that shit. There's no bearing on how our lives, period. Making them better or worse.
Yeah, none. If you want to prevent abortion, don't get one.
I mean, it's just ridiculous.
But but these people, I mean, they were going to come back and say, well, I'm saving innocent babies. I'm saving innocent lives. And
they'll never take care of.
They're zealots.
Yeah, and how many people have they adopted? How many children have they adopted?
So my question again is, should
fucking zero.
So you agree that That should be a litmus test. If you don't believe in letting a woman make her own choices, then you don't belong.
Now, if it's phrased like that, if a woman's body is her privy, that's it. The government shouldn't be involved.
Absolutely.
That's the party line. Not, whether it's an abortion or whatever.
The government should be involved, and the doctors should just follow their conscience.
That's right.
The doctors
and he should advise her exactly.
Follow their conscience.
Maybe it comes down to
if the baby's viable, deliver it and have it adopted. Don't abort a living child. But if it's a few cells, listen. I'm sorry, but I've got more important things to worry about. With 330-something million people in this country, I got more important things to worry about than whether this woman is deciding to have this baby or not based on medical decisions. These are her personal decisions.
Well, back to your point to the doctor, though. Some doctors will say, you need to have an abortion. This kid, the kid's going to die or you're going to die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of you is not going to make it through this.
And the kid's not going to be viable.
What I hate is when they use the exception to prove the rule.
Right.
It's like, that kid they said there's going to be
Tim Tebow
and this and that. And
Tim
blah,
Tebow
blah, blah.
That's exactly who he is.
He's the exception to prove the rule.
Yes, like his mom. The doctors told his mom she should have an abortion because he was at high risk.
Right.
She had him anyway.
Yeah. And then
Jesus involved.
Yeah, Jesus got involved, and they believe crazy. But no, it's like, listen, it's
Let's Tebow right now.
Yeah. The problem is, and this goes back to the larger, this is more of a conceptual thing, is when you make decisions for 330 people, they don't necessarily apply to an individual.
Right.
This is where freedom comes in. She had the freedom to say, no, I'm not going to do that abortion.
Exactly.
Have this child.
Fine.
She took the risk.
Yeah.
But it was her choice to take that risk, and it worked out great for her, and thank God it did.
Right.
But that's not how you make law.
I guess depends on how you look at it.
Because 80% of the people would have had horrible outcomes.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Most or died. Both die.
Risk management is a thing, folks. The reason that we drive around in cars.
Let's not have this abortion debate anymore. We agree.
We do. But
and the Democratic Party needs to push it aside. I don't.
It was an important question to ask. Should that be a litmus test for a Democratic candidate? And I think that if you don't, like I said, if you don't support a woman's right to make her own decisions about her health care, then I don't have any time for you.
Yes. Then you're not a progressive.
Okay, fine.
I
Let's
agree
move
with that.
on.
Yeah.
All right. So we talked about the Russian scandal. What's next up on that? Where do you want to go next?
Well, we can go to Charlottesville. Let's go to Charlottesville. So, I think anybody who's been paying attention at all this weekend knows what happened in Charlottesville, Virginia.
Yes.
So there's the big, there was going to be the big KKK rally, far right rally. Now they're called the alt right, which I don't agree with. They just need to be called the fucking KKK. That's what or neo Nazis or skinheads, whatever.
I don't think rebranding the hate. That doesn't.
Alt right seems to kind of give it some sort of credence. I don't fucking buy that at all.
No.
So. Anyway, there's big fights, riots, and then the guy drove a car in one of the skinheads into the people, killed a woman, and he killed a white woman, so that's gonna be bad for him. But the thing I wanted to touch on first before we really get into the overall the overall context and whatnot is what the mayor of Charlottesville said. All right, when initially when all these riots are going on and everything, he's like, oh, it's just like the whole Fox News right wing like with the Black Lives Matters, what was going on. These are just outside agitators, right? And that's it, so it's these outside agitators. If they had just let the thing go on, then nothing would have happened. But these outside agitators came in and counter protested, right? Well. The license plate of the car, and it was a Challenger. That hurts the brand of my favorite car. But anyway, was from Ohio. So one of these alt-right guys was actually who did the murderer was actually from one of these out-of-state agitators. Like, where's the outrage in that? Like, why are you not now? You're going to associate? It wasn't just the good people of fucking Virginia. This cocksucker drove all the way from fucking Ohio, and then he killed somebody with his car. Okay, it's but there's no recognition there's not any, admittance or wait a minute, it's not okay. These guys brought in people from all over the fucking country to have this happen, right?
So did you are you familiar with Trey Crowder?
No.
Well, you should be, and folks online, you should perhaps look this guy up. Trey Crowder is the liberal redneck. and he does like 2 to 4 minute videos about his, basically his kinfolk and how ridiculous they are. And this was one of the topics that he really dove into about how these guys they're just completely unaffected by irony. He's like, irony. They don't get it.
Yeah. That's a good way to put it. I couldn't phrase it properly. That's the good thing. You're unaffected by irony. That's exactly right.
Unaffected by irony. It's like, you're sitting there and you're basically, you're following a loser's path.
Right.
He goes, the Nazis, they got their asses kicked.
Right.
They got wiped off the face of the map practically.
Right.
And you're going back and you're waving these little Nazi flags. He's
like, they were Confederacy. Yeah, they all had Confederate patches on there.
He goes, the Confederacy.
Yeah.
He goes, like, you realize that, first of all, that was never the flag of any, it was a battle flag, and you realize that it almost never, but it is supporting a bunch of guys that decided that their desire to keep down one race of people was worth going to war for, and they got their asses kicked.
Right.
And they got sent back home. You are following in line with these losers who are about as un-American as you can get.
Right.
You put on a flag that says, hey, fuck the USA, we're going to go out on our own, and you're embracing that. So how can you call yourselves patriots? Because these guys believe they're patriots. He's like, I mean, it's great. Trey Carter is really good. I think you would enjoy his talks, but it's just that this is a group of people. Now, the fact that they embrace these loser ideas and that they've lost every time they've tried this, not without a great loss of life and a lot of pain and suffering, but they still lose. You've got a president that came out and essentially refused to identify the white supremacists. He said, well, there's this stuff on all sides. Another false equivalence.
Oh, my God, absolutely.
I'm like, I'm sorry, but these guys are literally chanting about...
Even Republicans came out and said that it was bullshit that he didn't denounce
because there's a difference between true conservatives and this group of people. Yeah. Because they don't agree with this stuff. I mean, I can talk to some of my buddies.
One of the guys they had on film, he says, so he's talking, of course they're all touting the fucking end of the white race and we're defending our heritage and blah, blah, blah. We want to kill all the Jews. And no shit. He ended it like that.
Right.
It was on the post, like one of the post, videos, clips. And we want to kill all the Jews. Like, what the fuck? Are you kidding me?
Well, it's a time that we have to, it's not like Trey Crowder said in his thing. It's like, listen, if you don't take sides, then you're taking their side.
Yeah.
Because if you can't take a side against that, then I have no idea what you're doing as an American. Because that's not what we stand for, and not what any of us stand for. Because how many of these? Because back in the day, they had George Wallace and the KKK. He goes, now we found 500 assholes who could barely afford a bus ticket.
Right.
And they caused this much trouble.
Right.
At what point do we stand up and go, no,
yeah,
that ain't it. We ain't going down this road.
The one side of me though, my one thought I was having about this today is, what if they just let them have the march, right? And nobody shows up, no counter protest. It's just they're 500 little assholes, right? Nobody shows up. Like everybody just black ops the whole fucking part of that town. All the businesses close. Nobody's there except for the dickheads, right? And we don't give them any power that way. That's one angle. But at the same time, I get the other angle standing up. Like, that's the people in Charlottesville, that's their home, right? Yeah. And if some cocksuckers trying to march down my street like that, and, here's the thing. They brought riot shields. They came to fight. And if you're going to call me, you came here with your stupid little gay Nazi uniforms and we're dancing around, I wouldn't care. But when you come armed, ready for battle, like, that sends a message that you're like invading. Right.
Oh, there was all kinds of messages.
Yeah, and then that rouses my hackles. Right.
Yeah, it does, and I agree. I think that a great protest would have been to have all the protesters just see them and turn their backs,
and just everybody walks away, just poof, gone.
Just don't engage.
Yeah,
it's like, I'm sorry,
you're not even worth. They're giving them any kind of play. I mean, they're not worth that.
Right. You're 100% right. You have the right.
Yeah. Do it. Go ahead.
You have the right to come out and say the things that you're going to say. But you realize that with those rights, you're taking advantage of rights that are given to you by the people that fought the very thing you represent.
Right.
The entire world got together and looked at the Nazis and said, this can't stand.
Yeah.
And destroyed them.
Right.
The entire world. Not just us, the entire world.
Yeah.
And so when you claim it's the least American thing you can do.
Yes, it was the antithesis of America.
You are embracing America's
fascism
enemies.
was the antithesis.
Yeah, and
there was nothing worse than a Nazi in the American lexicon during the 1940s. Nothing worse.
Right. Now let me do this on the conservative side, because I've been reading some articles trying to figure out. I mean, we know that some of the news outlets have been sort of apologetic for their behaviors and stuff like that. But there was a really good conservative article about a couple things. One of them was welfare that we'll get into a little bit later if we have time. But the one about this was saying, listen, one of the things to do is to understand what brought these people to this protest. Not respecting the protest.
The original reason was because Robert E. Lee. I think one of the how the South is going through that thing where they're taking down all the current Confederate stuff. Right. The monuments and statues. Right. Well, I think that was like the main precursor originally.
Well, that was the catalyst for them to do it.
Yeah.
But the question was the conservative question.
That just gave him something to rally on.
It gave him something to rally on. He goes, but the thing is not to focus on that part of it, because that's like sort of like the extreme. The point is to go back further and understand, why are these people marching? There have to, because you can't just assume that they're all just nut jobs and evil. There has to be some sort of catalyst besides the Robert Lee.
Probably they're all poor.
Well, we can,
and they're looking for somebody to blame.
Yeah, and that's probably not all that untrue.
And it's always been easy for those kind of people to blame the brown guy.
Or
the Jew.
They have convinced themselves that they have this sort of need to go out and protest something,
fight for their whitiness.
Well, I know, but the point is, I'm trying.
You don't love your culture. You're married to a brown woman.
I am married to a brown woman. She's awesome. I wouldn't trade her in.
Race traders.
I know.
Me too. I like brown women. Come get me.
Here's Sideshow Todd needs a Sideshow brown girl. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
But here's the thing is, whenever you look at these protests, they talk about in the example they use is like Black Lives Matter, because that's one of the latest ones.
Yeah, they like to hit that one a lot.
Well, but this conservative author was doing it in a positive way. He said the thing is, I'm very upset with some of the things that have gone on with Black Lives Matter.
Well, sure, you're not supposed to agree with all of it.
But he goes, but at the end of the day, he goes, I want to look beyond the outliers' actions and look at why was this whole movement was created because there was a problem.
Right.
Let's get past the politics, find out what that problem is, and let's address that.
Yeah.
And his point was with the folks in Charlottesville is that it's the same thing. There's something that drove these people.
Oh, yeah.
Forget about all the racism and all the bullshit of these kids that are basically saying stuff, and you're like, okay, go beyond that and find out what's motivating these folks, and let's address it. What is it that's making them so upset that they're willing to go to such extremes?
Yeah.
It's the same thing in he brought up, about ISIS and about Al Qaeda and all these stuff. Who are the soldiers in these armies? Why are they so disaffected that they're willing to do these horrific things?
Poor people.
It almost always comes down to economics.
Yep.
Economics, and but it deserves more attention than what
they don't. They're out of options. I think that's a lot of them feel like they're out of options. They're looking for somebody to blame, and it's. And now with Donald, I think what a lot of the news medias have hit on and the posting on this is, they've become more to light because they feel like now they're represented by Donald Trump. And he's not willing to distance himself from that, right? Even David Duke came out today and scolded Donald Trump. And he literally said, we got you elected.
Yeah.
And does Donald Trump, now if any other sane president would come out immediately, shortly after, and say, fuck that guy, he didn't get me elected, the American people got me elected, the American people don't act this way. Right? Americans aren't like this. Yeah. And he does not do that.
No, embrace your Donald Trump supporters that support you, but don't support that.
But they released an article on Russia where the subpoenas are coming down, doors are being broken open, and it's fake news. Mm-hmm. But he'll denounce that on fucking Twitter, but he won't come out against that piece of shit and say something to distance himself from all that.
Yeah, and it's one of the reasons he's going to be, in my opinion, a very short-term leader of this country. This is a major mistake.
But the damage he's doing is just epic. I mean, it's incredible.
We're going through a very bad time.
I think Obama did a little bit, helped repair, some of the respect to the office because, W was kind of a laughing stock. Sans his politics. He's kind of a goofy dude. right? I mean,
he was a kind of goofy dude, but he was likable, and we could get through that. You know, even with the war that he
but he wasn't like
preemptive war, and the money that he spent.
He wasn't intellectually respected. Let's just put it that way.
He was not. He was not.
But Obama was, so we had some. We brought some of that back, and now it's gone back 2 steps further.
Right. Well, here's the thing too about talking about the conservatives. That one of the things about them that was really kind of a prominent thing is the presidency is an institution.
Well, they were pulling that bullshit when W was in there. Respect the position, right?
Right. Well, but that's been. I mean, if you talk to conservatives, they will say the presidency is an institution. They respect the institution.
It's not the man.
Not the man, but the institution. And now you've got a man in there who has no respect for the institution.
Yes.
His behavior is completely an outlier of any presidential behaviors. Where are you? I know that they're there. I know that they're like.
Well, they are. Look at the Lindsey Grahams. I mean, that dude's all over Trump's jock all the time. He's a little bulldog.
What's amazing is some guys that I completely just don't agree with on almost anything.
Yeah.
Suddenly we're kin.
Yeah.
Because they're like, yeah, this is bullshit.
You think you
I'm
never
happy
say
to
this.
fight with you over Obamacare. I'm happy to fight with you over taxes and welfare. Yeah, but this is completely an outlier.
I never thought I would say thank God for Lindsey Graham.
I know.
I never thought I would say that.
Dude, Jeff Flake was writing stuff. I'm like, yeah,
he
Jeff,
wrote a book.
I
on
agree.
It. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I
agree
agree
with Jeff Flake.
And he's not a guy that I would, agree with.
I didn't vote for
the
Jeff
most
Flake.
part, But then we have Trent Franks, who's my congressman, who is
awful person.
I don't understand that guy. I actually went on a plane with that guy
super
once.
creepy Mormon. Super creepy Mormon.
Yeah, he's really unfortunate. All right, kids. So we got about 9 minutes left in the show.
So let's just go into sports.
Let's go into sports.
So what do you want to start with? Do you want to start with your Cubs?
The Cubs still suck.
They do.
The Cubs just took 2 out of 3.
That is a permanent topic
in the
sports section.
It seems to always be above the everything else. But
But let's just talk
I've been
about
to one
their
Cubs
precarious
game in exactly
position.
3 years.
Now you're probably high because they won today, even though they lost the day before. But anyway, let's talk about the precarious position they are now in.
We in first place.
Barely half game, and only because Cardinals won 8 games in a row, and they finally lost a game.
So they're 1 game ahead, not half game.
I think it's only half game. They were tied.
Hold, please.
But anyway, so let's talk about the precarious position. So the Cardinals are knocking at the door. They're trajecting up, and the Cubs are not trajecting up, buddy. So I hate to break it to you.
Well, they just won 2 out of 3 from the mighty Diamondbacks, so there's that.
Yeah, and the Diamondbacks all beat to shit. They lost Jake Lamb. They lost their second best hitter.
We lost Addison Russell. We lost Wilson Contreras.
You still got 2 MVPs. Don't give me that shit.
Because we're that fucking
You got
good.
Bryant and Rizzo. If those guys aren't carrying a team, I don't give a fuck about the other dudes.
We're so good we had 4 outs in the first inning today.
I mean, give me a break with this.
Well,
they're the Addison Russell. Come on.
Addison
he hit like
Russell.
a career 240 hitter.
He was an all-star last year. He's having a little rough. He's having a difficult time this year, but he's still a hell of a player. We got so many good players. You got to put guys on the bench.
So you're not sweating. You're telling me you're not sweating the Cardinals, like your nemesis. You're not sweating him.
Not right now. No.
Come on, they're hot. They're the hottest team in baseball. Everybody's saying. I saw 2 articles one on ESPN and one on Yahoo Sports titled "The team to beat in the NL Central is the Cardinals." So like the sports writers are all on the train.
No, they just do that to create interest. Here's the thing. I ran into some Dodger fans, and they said, the one team that we're most afraid of is Chicago Cubs.
I already told you where your flaw in your logic is here.
There's no flaw in my logic.
You're talking to Dodgers fans.
And why isn't my Ron Santo thing on here? I put Ron Santo in.
I told you where you wanted to start. You could have started with Ron Santo.
Ron Santo's on the list. You didn't put him in.
You just said Ron Santo, so you could start with Ron Santo to say what you want to say about Ron Santo.
I just want to say there should be a lot of love and respect for Ron Santo. And your disrespect for him yesterday at the ballpark while the Cubs were getting their dicks sanded, it was not cool.
Number one, I was just saying that Andre Dawson jersey would have been better.
No, it would not have been better. It would not have been better. I'm not saying that.
Awesome Dawson, he's the best player ever for it. I mean, come on.
No, he's not the best player ever for the Cubs. Come on.
He's my favorite player.
He's your favorite player.
Only Cub player I ever really liked.
You're a Sox fan.
Yeah, it's 1 game right now.
It's 1 game. I told you that like 10 minutes ago.
But the Cubs, the last 10 games are 4-6.
Yeah.
And in the last 10 games for the Cardinals, they're 8-2.
Yeah, I know.
So
it happens. It happens. I'm just saying,
buddy.
Who's in first place?
Barely.
Doesn't matter.
Your shitty division.
Well,
there's no reason a team that is only 4 games over 500 should be knocking on the door of the division lead.
It is when you're in an incredible division like
incredible division. Settle down now.
It's like
all right. I'll give you the Ernie Banks thing, or this is getting a little out of hand.
Hercules versus the Hulk right now. It's just with a thing coming in third. You know, I'm just saying it's a hell of a division. That's where the real baseball's happening. The Dodgers are afraid of the Cubs. That's the most important thing.
There's some drunk dudes that are Dodgers. I mean, Dodgers fans at the Diamondback Stadium. It's like the bottom of the earth.
They were at the we were at the Asian
low
store.
enders, as my aunt used to say.
What's that?
Low enders, as my aunt used to say.
Low enders. These were good quality high school kids working at the cash register and bagging groceries at the Asian market. We had to get some char siu. It was delicious.
So I think you should be nervous because the Cardinals have a history of number one being really good, and number two putting the dampers on good Cub seasons in the past.
Yes, this is. I can't refute those facts.
Mm-hmm.
That's but
it's okay. You can tell me.
I'm not scared. I'm not scared. We're so far.
So anyway, the good news you saw that
before you
Harper
change subject,
hurt.
hold on. I just want to make it clear that we have won every series against the Cardinals this year.
That's good.
So that's why I'm not afraid of them.
All right,
move on.
So the other thing though that you got to scare that was almost good for the Cubs is that Bryce Harper hyperextended his knee.
But he's
fine.
Yeah, he's fine.
He's fine.
Did you see that?
Yeah,
looked
really bad.
Actually,
looked pretty horrific.
We watched that together last night. Actually, where his knee literally shot left.
Yeah, it's like boo.
Wow, he should have been but they said it's a bone bruise and that's
yeah.
I'm like, how the hell does he get away with that?
It's because he's only like 25, 24. You're elastic then.
He's a goddamn specimen.
Girls
want to do him, boys want to be him. I know how it is.
That sounds weird. All right, so let's get to the Bears then. So the Bears preseason game, there's a lot of good noise out of Chicago about Trubisky.
Oh man,
I think he went 10 for 10.
Not what we need.
No, you're looking at it from the wrong angle. There's only in the media's mind is there a quarterback controversy. Okay,
dude,
John Fox has come out. Adam Gase has come out multiple times and said, "No fucking way is this kid playing this year." They just gave Matt Clinton $15 million. I mean, his contract's bigger than that, but he's getting essentially the guaranteed portion is this year, and he gets like $14 million or something for the season. So he's playing all 16 games unless he's just historically bad. Like they can't put the kid in there.
So what had happened in the first series of the game?
I think he threw a pick 6 or something.
Yeah, he did.
So what? It's a fucking preseason game.
A la Mike Tomczak.
Big deal.
Dude.
Preseason game.
It just that just assured me that he would be the Bears starter for the rest of the year because that's what we're used to. Oh, you can tell me you're not used to that?
I'm just saying I don't think it's that big of a deal.
I don't think a Bears quarterback should throw a down and out pass for the next 10 years. Just do that for me. Because how many times
they're running base crap? He's been a bad read.
How many times has the DB jumped the route and done a pick six on the Bears?
Dude,
you can go back.
Preseason game.
Which is my point exactly why it was high on Trubisky.
But it's good news. The kid could have been terrible against second and third string people. Like he came down, gone like 5 for fucking 14.
Yeah, that's great.
This,
but he was
this kid was 10 for 10.
He's playing college kids. He's a college kid. He went for 10 for 10. Actually, he went for 18 for 25. I think.
I don't
should have been probably 20 for 25. I think he had 2 drops.
Right.
18 for 25. Look up the stats.
I'm looking it up right now.
Come on, man. You're supposed to be ready.
Keep going.
So my point is that he did it against college competition.
Yes.
And I'm very happy about that.
Of course.
But the fact that here's the problem, is the fans were going to rattle. They want this kid to play.
Yeah, he was in a touchdown.
18 for 25. I'm like a freaking magnet.
Glennon was 2 for 8. I don't know what you're complaining about.
He was 2 for 8. He scored, 6?
So, come on. So
wrong team? Cutler was known for throwing the ball to the wrong team, and our new quarterback.
Glennon is actually he's not an interception guy. I wouldn't worry about it. I'm
actually not worried about it because the first preseason game, everyone just calm the fuck down, just relax.
But the other good news is, Floyd got a sack.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't see that. I saw I
didn't see it, but I know I saw the highlight.
Yeah, they only played. I think the starters played like two series.
Yeah.
And
so everybody's saying he looks real good. He's been looking real good in camp. He's gained some weight.
Trubisky or Floyd?
Floyd,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of good things in the reading, and so.
But it's nice to talk positive. Like normally a rookie quarterback that the Bears get, even in preseason against second and third string guys, looks terrible.
Right.
You're just like, fuck, this is going to be bad. It's like it's a good sign that he performed well.
Yeah.
Against second, third string guys, man.
That's all good. It's
Especially
25
he
passes.
16 games in college or whatever it was.
Yeah, I know.
So get fucking excited for 5 minutes. It might be worth watching this year.
I remember watching when we signed Cutler. I remember seeing old men like crying, hugging me. I was in Chicago when we signed him.
Well, it was a good deal then.
I know, but I just
Still is a good deal. That kid got fucked.
I think.
There's
Well,
such
I hope,
epically bad offensive lines that he had.
I hope he does. I hope he just busts ass in Miami.
I think he's going to do well. He had a great year with Gase when he was here in Chicago.
I know. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
He was a great quarterback.
And now they got a great running
quarterback.
game there with that kid,
JLE.
Yeah, that guy. They got a great running game. They got a decent offensive line.
And he's got the coach he needs.
Yeah. So
I'm wearing, by the way, today, I'm wearing my Dan Hampton Hall of Fame jersey.
it is Dan Hampton.
Who's Dan Hampton?
I said it is Dan Hampton.
Oh, I thought you said, who's Dan Hampton? I was
Asking
like,
who Dan Hampton is.
well, I knew that had to be a joke because there's no way you would
Punch
know who
yourself
Dan
in the leg.
Hampton was. Your lack of appreciation for Ron Santo. Did you
Don't
Google
even say
Ron
those
Santo?
people. Don't even put those people in the same conversation.
Oh, my God, dude. Ron Santo was better than Dan Hampton. Ron Santo was a more influential athlete than Dan Hampton was. And Dan Hampton is my favorite Bear of all time.
Wow. You just heard that on the show. I just settle down.
I'm not gonna settle down. I'm just very upset about your lack of respect for Mr. Santo. He was, man, people love that guy.
Apparently, I don't.
Well, it was before your time by about 20 years. Even before my time. I never actually saw him
I'm
play.
saying, didn't he play in the 60s?
Yeah, but people love that guy. I mean, when I worked at Wrigley Field, it was like, hey, Ron Santo this, Ron Santo that. People,
Because he was the
adored
only.
this.
What other player did you hang your head on? You had him and Ernie Banks for like 40 years.
Well, that was the.
and then Ryan Sandberg finally came and saved that shitty franchise. If it wasn't Ryan Sandberg, who would you be? What Hall of Fame player would there be in the modern era?
Well, we have a lot of great players in Cubs history. When we go through the 1980s,
Hall of Famers
we have a few Hall of Famers.
in the modern era.
Got some Billy Williams action going on.
Who
Billy, you don't know what Billy Williams is.
exactly? Modern. I'm saying like post 1980.
You know,
we'll call that
the problem with Gen X's guys, he should be a millennial.
post
He's millennial quality.
post
And we're
1980.
stuck
Name
with
one
him.
Hall of Famer besides Ryan Sandberg. Go.
Post 1980. Greg Maddux,
Braves. He didn't go in as a Cub.
but he was a Cub.
He's
actually the
so
reason-
they drafted him and he pitched for 3 seasons or whatever. He was
didn't-
not. He didn't
he
go
was-
in the Hall of Fame as a Cub. He went in as a Brave.
But he won the Cy Young one. He was He's the reason that I actually
All
boycotted.
right, I'll
the
give you
Cubs
that one.
for
Okay,
years.
there's two.
For years.
I'll give you the Greg Maddux,
I need to go beyond.
even
that.
though they didn't play. Name another one.
Name another one. Oh,
I'll
man.
wait.
I can name a lot of players, but I don't know how many of them went to the Hall of Fame. Lee Smith never made it in. How about Bruce Sutter? Well, he would have. No, he was early. He was early. What's that?
He wasn't.
He wasn't a Cub?
Didn't he start with the Cardinals?
No, he went to the Cardinals or to the Cubs. Cardinals stole him like Lou Brock, motherfuckers. I
Yeah.
hate that Arch City.
Anyway,
I'm talking to you, Big E. One of my friends is a big
deal with it.
Cardinals fan.
I think Andre Dawson.
Cubs are the
Again, he went in the world.
greatest
He went
franchise.
in, but he was not really. I mean, he was a Cub at the end of his career. I think he went in as an Expo.
I would think he would because those were his best years. You know, I mean, Sammy Sosa is not going to make it because of the steroids.
And all the bleaching he's doing to his face. What
Is
a
he bleaching
weirdo.
his face?
Oh my God, he's bleaching his skin. He looks like an alien, dude. You haven't seen a picture of Sammy Sosa lately?
No, I've never been a big Sammy Sosa fan.
Oh my God, he looks like a weirdo.
First of all, he was a White Sox first, so he
we
was
did
already
draft him.
Tainted. He was tainted.
Indeed, it was before he. It
And
was.
he dealt his ass to us, and we were stuck with his.
It was before he did all the drugs. Because when he was only 190 pounds when he was a White Sox, and the guy hit. See, he was a guy for the White Sox.
He was.
He hit about 290, hit about 19 home runs, but he also steal like 20, 30 bases.
Yeah, yeah,
right.
yeah.
Because but then he put on all the juice.
Yeah,
And he got the
juice.
power.
Yeah,
then he was a 40 for 40 guy. And he's like ripping bases
That's
up
bad.
and eating them. It's like, yeah, he's on steroids. It's true.
We kind of think. I mean, I'm thinking there's another Cub that was that became a Hall of Famer, and
There's none.
there may not be one, but I'm thinking there's some guys that we had some great players that played for the Cubs though.
It's okay, Jim.
How about Shawan Dunston?
Definitely not a Hall of Famer.
The Sean O'Meara?
Definitely. That told you that's
Well,
the whole reason I hate the Cubs is the Sean O'Meara.
Even Santo, he didn't make it to the Hall of Fame till after he passed. It was a posthumous.
But didn't he have like
Election.
400 home runs or something?
Dude, his record, his stats were solid. Actually, they were better than I thought. I,
don't
looked
think
them
maybe
up.
he wasn't 400 home runs.
I think he batted like about 278, and he had maybe 350, 400 home runs, and he was a solid third baseman, and he's a big leader. You know, obviously leadership doesn't really come into the Hall of Fame thing. But let's take a look at Ron Santo's stats. They were actually better than I thought because when he got in late, I thought it was sort of a sympathy award to the Hall of Fame. I didn't think he was really a Hall of Fame third baseman, but when I looked at his stats, I was like, oh, you know what? He's actually better than I thought he was. But he was, he was a magnet. He had leadership. He had, all through his career, even when he got older with his diabetes and everything, people just love that guy because he gave so much back. That's why he's such a big guy. That's why my Santo jersey is my proudest jersey.
I know.
Ernie Banks is.
I think everybody knows now.
I'll get an Ernie Banks one now. Next.
Legacy.
But Dawson doesn't. I'm not.
He won the NL Player of the Month award 3 times. Wow.
When that leads off your stats, you probably are a Hall of Famer. But
Santo led the league in double plays 6 times.
There you go.
Tie Major League record held by Henny Grope. Interesting.
You got to go deep.
He had 360 games in position.
300. How many homers do you have?
364 consecutive games at third base.
That's
a lot.
That's 3 years. 2.5 years.
Well, it's really talking about his offense. Career hitting. Here we go. Let's see. 342 home runs.
Okay,
so a lot.
It's almost 400.
It's a lot.
I don't know if it's Hall of Fame. That's probably
career average 277.
No, 278. I was close. I was 1 point off.
And how many hits did he have? Well, he only had 2,200 hits. 3,000 is the big number.
Yeah, but I don't know if 2,200 is only.
But
yeah, but the question is
he did the highlight all the shit with his glove. So he did things with his. He was a really good fielder.
Yeah, he was.
I think that's part of the reason why he got in, not just his hitting.
Well, I think his hitting was decent, but his fielding was excellent.
No, he's a good hitter. Obviously, he was a really good hitter.
Yeah, but is he a Hall of Famer? He was barely a Hall of Famer. He got elected after he passed away. So it took I think they have an old timers committee that goes back and looks at guys that kind of got passed over, and I think that's where he got in. But man, he's an icon. He's an icon in Chicago. It's sort of a throwback respect. I didn't watch him play, but I knew how many of the people that I knew that were Cubs fans that loved that guy.
He played till 73.
Dude, I would have been 5.
You probably watched a game. You were like 20.
I was not 20 in 1973. I was 5.
So, all right. Well, I guess
DammitJim was born in 1967. You're the Ram, by the way.
Whatever that means.
Well, it means you're the goat, but I don't like goat, so I use Ram.
Oh.
So
okay.
It's better than being like you're the rat, I guess.
I think you're the tiger.
When were you born? 1984?
74.
Oh, 74. I wasn't that far. Oh, fuck, you're old too.
Yep.
Jesus. No wonder you creak when you walk. All right, kids. Do we have anything else on the? Because we're in rambling mode now.
Yeah, let's see. That's about it for sports, I think. Unless there's anything else you want to cover.
Not
since
really.
you're all pessimistic, Bears are looking nice.
I think the Bears are gonna get their dicks sanded off in the first 7 weeks.
I think they're gonna be 8-8, and I'm usually very negative. I think their defense is gonna be pretty good, and I think they're gonna run the ball well.
One of the funniest things I've ever seen
right.
is I had a lady turn to me.
Even they got a really hard schedule though.
In the middle of a Bears game. Hold on, let me tell my story.
Yeah.
In the middle of a Bears game, lady sitting next to me turned to me and said, "Is your friend okay?" Because Todd is so intense when he watches a Bears game, like the veins are popping out of his head and shit. And here's the funny thing: we were winning in this. Veins were popping out of his head, and he, without missing a beat, turned to her and said, "Oh no, I'm fine. I just get worked up a little bit," and then went right back into his intense
That girl can kiss my ass.
She was an old lady. She was like shying away. She thought you were going to slug somebody because you were just screaming about the wrong defense being called. Like, what the fuck are we in zone? What the fuck is wrong with you?
I don't get that excited anymore. It's not worth it.
Well, because
that's when they were good back in the day.
You don't have the energy to get excited because it's one wound
sucked
after another.
Yeah, it just sucked it all the life out of me.
They sucked the
I'm
marrow.
I'm just going to enjoy the season if they're 8-8. That's all I'm saying.
Now you know what it feels like
games,
to be a Bears.
That would be great.
A Cubs fan.
No, I don't.
49 years before they finally win the World Series. It took 4 generations of us. We had to be born, grow up, work, die. Born, grow up, work, die. Born, work, die for 108 years. Mm-hmm. That's 5 generations.
It only took 108 years to get a decent owner in that place. That's really what saved you. The Ricketts family. They're probably going to build some fucking statue outside of Wrigley Field for the jerks. They should.
They'll do it to Theo Epstein, maybe.
Because, but who hired Theo Epstein?
The Ricketts. I mean, you can't knock them. They
were willing to spend money.
Yeah, they built the new stadium out here in Mesa. I haven't been to it yet. But
yeah. So
the problem is there's too many damn Cubs fans. When I went to the Diamondbacks game yesterday, we were there.
Yeah.
I got to swear, there was probably 4 or 5 to 1 Cubs jerseys versus.
Well, they got no heart. The Diamondbacks fans.
I don't think they do.
Same thing with the Cardinals fans.
To get Because I wore my big old Ron Santo jersey. I sat right in the box seats thinking I was going to all kinds of shit. I was surrounded by Cubs fans.
Yeah.
Surrounded. They knew all the players. You know, they were yelling.
Right.
Oh, when Javi Baez made that error that cost us, 2 runs and basically the game, they were ballistically pissed at him. I was like, come on, man. It's Javi. Javi got excited. He's going to be if Javi ever learns how to take a pitch.
He don't run today.
He could be. Well, that's because he's a very aggressive hitter. But he swings at balls that are like,
Guy hung a fucking slider and he crushed it.
Yeah, well, he swings like he's got to launch that ball 400 feet every time, and he's a great hitter. I just wish he learned to take a pitch once in a while. If he could,
Dominican guys, is he Dominican or with a lot of those guys? Man, they're free swingers.
They're free swingers. If he could learn Chris Bryant's sort of like approach at the plate, I think Javi Baez is in the Hall of Fame because his defense is that good. Mm-hmm. The guy reinvented tagging.
Slow down, you and these Hall of Fame things, Jesus. So, Bears are going to be better than we think. All right.
We got music rolling?
I don't know. Is it on? Is that the end of the show?
I think it is, unless you got something more impressive to say.
It's time to go.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been the Damn It Jim Show.
Thanks for listening for all 5 of you. We appreciate it.
Goodbye, everybody.
Good night. Yeah, suck on that, YouTube.